Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved.
Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 227. I think we have it'll be an interesting lineup this evening. We'll start off with the Scotch Review, being the GlenDronach's Master Anthology Series, the Ode to Ember. Then from there, we have our shoutouts and Get It Togethers, followed by a restaurant review being Perfect Time Cafe. And then our Smarter Challenge being a fireside chat about Charlie Kirk and current events, I guess, if you will. So, real quickly, if you do like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave some comments down below. We'd greatly appreciate that. Thank you to all the many viewers on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate you, as well as all the many different listeners on the multiple different podcast platforms you can listen to us on. We appreciate all of you as well. Once again, please leave some comments down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, especially about this topic here. As long as we don't get censored off of any platforms, we'd love to hear your thoughts about Charlie Kirk or anything about that, or even this wonderful Scotch, hopefully, that we are about to try.
I will leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. Oh!
All right, this week's Scotch, the GlenDronach, as Noah's already introduced it, Ode to the Embers, an artful combination of both sherry and smoke. Just a little bit about the GlenDronach Distillery, founded in 1826. Their water source is the Dronach Burn. They do have 2 wash stills, 2 spirit stills, an annual capacity of 1.3 million liters per year. They are known for their 8-year, their 12-year, a 15-year, 18-year, 20-year, 21-year, 31-year, 33-year, and then, of course, their special editions here. This ABV, man, they average between 43 and 48% for the GlenDronach, and this one is said to be at a 48.4, so definitely tipping the tall end of their normal spectrum. Along with the GlenDronach Distillery, and again, it is a Highland single malt distillery, they have a nice little saying here on the back of the box of Scotch. The Master Anthology Ode to the Embers. The scent of smoldering peat, the warm hearth of the Highlands, and memories of times past bring us home again. Days when malt kilns cloaked barley grain in a warm smoke. This is our Ode to the Embers in celebration of the ways of old. A richly aromatic expression of the GlenDronach, presenting intertwined notes of peat smoke with a dominance of Oloroso sherry casks for a spice complexity, enriched with our signature Pedro Ximenez casks. Ode to the Embers is a rare peated expression selection within the Masters Anthology, a collection of fine single malts from the GlenDronach, where our master blender invites you to experience the breadth and depth of sherry cask maturation. Each expression pursues the exceptional in character and taste, composed to celebrate different aspects of our rich and rewarding Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. The Master Blender's notes ode to the embers cloaks warm and rich spice in smoldering wisps of smoke, speaking of the days of old at the GlenDronach Distillery. I'm trying to remember, did they have some tours here at the GlenDronach?
Yes, they do. The first one is called the Valley of Brambles. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be totally wrong. I'm going to butcher it if it is wrong. But it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour tour. It does cost 25 Great British pounds. This is their basic distillery tour, where you get to see the ins and outs of sherry cask maturation. At the end, you will be welcomed with 3 drams to enjoy. Then they have the Revolution in Flavor tour. Here you get to explore the heart of the distillery, savor some of the finest matured whiskeys, paired with some fine chocolate. This is a 1.5 hour endeavor. That is 50 Great British pounds. Then we got the Sherry Master Class. This is a tutored tour and master class designed by Dr. Rachel Berry. It is 2 hours long and 80 Great British pounds. But that is not the last or the best, probably. Because then we got, and I'm going to butcher this one, the Boynes Mill Experience. It's 2.5 hours long, 200 Great British pounds. Here you get a 200-year historical tour, if you will, about their history. Once you arrive, upon your arrival, they hand you a drink right away. Then you get to savor some drams from the old and rare collection. And it's paired with some fine food pairing that they're going to give you a menu to choose from, I believe.
All right. Well, nothing to shy away from with those tours. As we open this here, the GlenDronach Ode to the Embers. A little bit about the brief history of the GlenDronach Distillery. Again, it was founded in 1826 by James Allardyce. And he was the one who ultimately procured the second license for a legal whiskey distillery in Scotland. That's just 3 years after the Excise Act of 1823 did in fact pass. With that, it's had a long history of profound owners in some sense. Walter Scott, who acquired it in 1881, and Charles Grant, a son of the founder of the Glenfiddich Distillery, had also acquired it in 1920. Currently, they are active and owned by Brown-Forman. If you want a little bit more about the details about the distillery, just back a couple weeks ago in episode 225, we did the Ode to the Valley, a delicious scotch, and I actually think this one is going to top it. Opening the box is nice and solid. Again, the use of the sherry cask, those Oloroso sherry cask, is going to have an impact here. The foil is solid, perforated well. It's manly. It is well done here. I enjoy that. And they still, except for maybe some of those really high-end ones we've done, the solid wood top, which has been, I'm guessing, had their information burned into it for the GlenDronach, established in 1826, right into the top. Nice dark wood top. And of course, just like we saw 2 weeks ago, solid cork, none of that pressed shit. All right. As we go on.
Who likes pressed shit?
We won't go there. Maybe the elephants. I feel like it's a topic to stay away from.
Maybe buffalo chips. You want those pressed a little bit?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because they fell from that buffalo's tail.
All right. Well, I guess it is time for our tasting notes and our warp speed. So cheers.
Cheers.
All right. This GlenDronach, the Ode to Embers. First off, I love the packaging. It's great. I love the packaging on the other one that we did too, which is the Ode to Valley. The really nice thing here, like I noticed that a big difference between the red and the green from the Ode to Valley is that actually I think it has like some gold foil, where I didn't really see any gold foil on the Ode.
There's a little bit on there too.
Oh, there is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm staying corrected on that part, but it's still great. I love the wooden top. I love the full cork. I love the red that they use. To me, I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong color here, but to me it seems more of like the main color there is like a brickish red or something. But yeah, anyways, love the coloring and the packaging. The color of the actual Scotch here, it kind of reminds me of like a sunset at a fireside. So like if you're sitting like at a campfire and it's like a nice summer sunset with like nice dark colors with that, and with it being like kind of like emphasized with a fire, that's kind of what it reminds me of there. Or if you just want something more simply, as I told Jesse, it almost looks like a watered down port, if you will. Now the nose here, it's very, to me, it's slightly complex. There's a lot of like nuances here. First, I get fudge on the nose with hints of dates and raisins, with a touch of some dark chocolate and brine, but there's also a hint of like dank wet wood with smoke and some cinnamon and just a very subtle hint of tobacco, which the way these all culminate together and commingle, if you will, in the nose, every whiff is a slightly bit different, and I really enjoyed that experience. So I gave the nose 28 out of 30. Oh, by the way, the presentation and color, I gave those 5 out of 5. So. The palate. Here on the palate, I put that it's full-bodied with nice balance and creamy texture, with notes of dark chocolate, baked apple, plum, toffee, a slight nutty flavor, which after some discussion with Jesse and reading the box, I settled on maybe that nutty flavor is walnut. Don't know 100% for sure, but it's definitely some kind of nutty flavor. That's what I do know. And some smoked peat. That smokiness, especially if you pour a little bit in your hands and you like just let it dry up, you get that smokiness and it smells great. And I loved it, so I gave the palate also 28 points. The finish here to me is medium in length, with some dry fruit sweetness, mild notes of clove, ginger, and once those all dissipate, I still get a nice lingering hint of dark chocolate, possibly fudge. But it's just a nice way to finish this because it's not overly sweet. It's just slightly bitter enough where you get like a hint of earthiness. That's why I'm saying it's probably closer to dark chocolate. But I loved it. Is it something I would take to a black tie affair? You bet your ass I would. Is it something that I would take to a game night? This is where it gets tricky. If they're close friends and they all appreciate Scotch, I could see myself bringing it there, but the one thing that is a drawback is that this is limited edition, so it makes it hard to not want to say this is purely a hoard feature where I just keep it for myself and a good close friend or special occasion. By saying that obviously means that there is a spot on the shelf for this.
Makes it hard as a hoard scotch.
It does. The hoarding, yeah, right? Like, did I say that right?
You weren't wrong.
Okay.
I just was hypersensitive to particular words. Hard and hoard.
Well, maybe it does make a person hard drinking this.
It's hard
Or
to find.
maybe you get whiskey dick. I don't know. If you drink it up.
All right. Well, it's funny. What was your total score?
Oh, 93.
All right. Our scores vary by 1 point
Whoa.
and only on the finish.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, all right. Presentation right there with Noah. 5 out of 5. I love the box as well. Thank you, the GlenDronach, for continuing to put it in a box or a canister, and a nice one at that. I actually sincerely appreciate the detail, the artwork, the artistry, the care, concern, and everything that go into this box, and also this bottle, the solid wood top, the solid cork, the fact that they have either burned or pressed into the top of the topper, the GlenDronach, and the year that they were founded is, and that's 1826, just outstanding to me. Love the label. Really like the bottle. 5 out of 5 for presentation, 5 out of 5 for color. You mentioned, I believe, sunset for your color. And for me, it's only funny because to me, this is a Rich Hunter's Amber Sunset. Or let me correct that. Rich Amber Hunter's Sunset. Rich Amber Hunter's Sunset, not a Rich Hunter's Amber Sunset.
Hunter sitting by a fire, Amber Sunset. And we can mix them all together.
That's literally what I'm talking about. Like, literally, it is fantastic. I love the color. This is a sexy color. This is a sexy presentation. So again, 5 out of 5 for each of those. On the nose, the nose has so much fruit that it smells very floral like to me. There's strawberry, peach, blackberry, then pops out some raisin and orange to me. There, especially when we do the rub test, so to speak, and put it between our hands, there is some wood, and I'm talking like white American oak, and also some fire embers. That oak is really profound in that sense, but otherwise very mild otherwise, and also a little bit of cinnamon and cocoa. 28 on the nose for me. This is a fabulous nose. 28 also on the palate for me. Good excuse to have another sip. Not that we need one. It's got a buttery richness feel right off the bat. And then it's super interesting because there's like brine and a lemon blackberry. The walnut is definitely there. It's come out more along the chance for it to open. There's dark fruit. And then smoke and fudge. And when I say fudge, I mean fresh fudge. If you've ever made fudge, that fudge you get right out of the pan, right before it's hardened, that is the kind of fudge I am getting. It is both like salty, sweet, and delicious. Again, that same buttery sweetness mouthfeel. 28 for the palate. This is the only difference here. I gave it a 26 for my finish. Gives me a 92 on the finish. It's got a definitive sherry sweetness. The dark fruit, the brine revisits. There's a little bit of lemongrass for me as it's drying up. Another little hint of that oak woodiness, the peat and the smoke, and then a little bit of nutmeg, and again walnut dryness, like that dryness as you eat walnuts. And it dries out your mouth. So overall for me, a 92. Black tie, yes. Friend, again, yes. If they're worthy, spot on shelf, absolutely.
I will leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. Oh.
I'm gonna leave them alone. How about yourself?
I'm going to leave them alone since our smart challenge is basically one big, huge get it together.
And also shout out in different ways.
Shout out, yeah.
I will leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. I leave it at the altar, God. Oh,
This week's restaurant review, the Perfect Time Cafe. This is located there off of Parker Road in Parker, Colorado. Oh man, what do you think?
I liked it. The outside, the parking lot, I just gave that a big whopping 5. It's not the best parking lot. It's not really the easiest to turn into. I guess it kind of depends on which route you're going towards it. If you're on Parker Road, you can only really access it from one direction. If you're coming from Plaza Drive, which is kind of a side road, if you don't know how to get to Plaza Drive, then it might be hard to turn in and out of there as well. The strip mall area that it's in is also not all that great. The inside, actually, I like how they designed the inside. I was pretty pleased with it. Is fairly appealing to the eye. I had seen what the place had looked like before when it was the Angry Ohana or something like that, the Hawaiian place that we never got to try because it was always closed down when we tried to go. But I thought the way they designed it, the way they had set it up, it was somewhat pleasing to the eye. Definitely more geared towards a breakfast diner than really a dinner type of place. But I did give it a 7 on the inside. The food, I enjoyed the food. I did get the perfect omelet, which obviously has it has eggs because it's an omelet, so 3 eggs. Bell pepper, onion, spinach, pepper jack cheese, which I thought was slightly bit different from like a normal type of like everything type of omelet, if you will. And bacon is the meat that I chose, and they had like sliced cherry tomatoes on top. I thought it was really nice to have that difference of a pepper jack cheese as opposed to cheddar. Honestly, I didn't really read that when I ordered it. I was expecting cheddar when I first took my first bite, but I was pleasantly surprised that it was pepper jack. Loved the food. I gave that an 8 out of 10 for an omelet. Also, I got the sourdough bread. The sourdough bread tasted wonderful as well. And the home fries that it came with was seasoned. I'm thinking it's like butter, maybe some olive oil, and that Italian seasoning with some salt and pepper. To me, it just tasted wonderful. It didn't need any ketchup, although I did dip half of it in ketchup and the other half I ate normal. So I really did enjoy the breakfast, the food. The service, I thought they did well. They had multiple people serving us. It felt like they had different people delivering stuff to us. Our own waitress, I think she only visited us like 2 or 3 times maybe, but like other people dropped off other things or cleaned up our table and stuff like that. So for a small place, I would not have expected that much interaction from multiple servers. But it was done well enough for me. Although I did see, like, with some other tables and the interaction, there was some kind of, I don't know, I'm not going to say questionable, but definitely some oddities. Mostly probably brought out probably from the patrons. But anyways, I gave service an 8 because I thought they did well with us. And then the value for the food that we got and the quality that we got and the service that we received, I gave it a 9. Total is 7.4. Would I take a date there? This is kind of weird. I probably not necessarily take a date there unless it's on a way to go do something that's near there or on the way there. Would I meet a friend there? Definitely would meet a friend there. Is it a destination spot? And I'm going to say no because there's other breakfast places I'd rather go to. For instance, I'd rather go to Benedict's than this place. And it's really the time to get to there, to get to Benedict's is maybe like a couple minutes difference. And really, I really like Benedict's more. Or even Perfect Landing's breakfast more. So, but I do think it's worthy of a try, and I probably will go back to visit.
All right. Well, my score's a little bit higher.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I did really well with this one.
You did do really well. It's just my opinion versus yours. This is where it's our experience. The Perfect Time Cafe. Let me start out with the food. Had a Bloody Mary. It was delicious. I thought it was fabulous. And then I went with the poblano omelet, which was also really good. The one wish I have is that it had a little bit more of a poblano pepper flavor. However, the carne asada steak in it, absolutely fantastic. As you mentioned, cheese. Mine had a giant piece of avocado in small slices across the top. Delicious, perfectly ripened avocado. Why can't I find one like that at the grocery store? I don't know, but I can. So perfect there. But the hash browns were definitely a 10 out of 10 and a solid win. I added just a little bit of salt and pepper out of habit. I don't know that it would have needed it, but delicious. So as we drove up, I agree with you with the exterior. This is, I think, our one score that's 100% deadlocked in a 5. The exterior is just shit. There's no place to sit outside, which isn't necessary. However, the strip mall's not sexy at all. Definitely a detractor, a deterrent. Not its most proud quality. But the interior, I really enjoyed the interior. And one thing about a great breakfast place to me is it's kind of like got that dive bar status. It's not supposed to be sexy in the same ways. I think the exterior can definitely do wins and have opportunities though. But the interior, I gave an 8. I thought it was well set up, comfortable, not meant for a long-standing brunch type of setup. It's that dive bar breakfast place. I dug it. So 8 for the interior. Food, I gave my damn food a 9. Literally the only thing I wished would have been different is that the poblano pepper had been a little bit more prevalent, but otherwise everything else was perfect. I don't think that the size of the dish was massive, but it was good. It was enough. So again, a 9 for the food. Service, also an 8. I never went wanting and everything was timely. Value for me, this is the other one, again, like just a little bit below yours, 8. And it's hard for me to give a value to anything that has an exterior like that higher than an 8, just because that's part of the total experience. Overall though, my score was an 8. Would I take a friend there or meet a friend there? Absolutely. Would I take a date there? Again, this is, I think, partially for me. Like, I would be happy to take a date there. It's kind of got that dive bar status. I'm not saying there aren't better breakfast places, but this was good, and it doesn't take away, minus the exterior, from just woke up, got to sleep in, or not, but going to the breakfast. I thought it was fantastic, and they do have lunch and dinner. But we focused on the breakfast, and so I would take a date there for breakfast. Is it a destination at this point? No. And that is only because the one thing that could have benefited it is if there was a ton to do around it. And Parker does try to put on some events, which are basically just right across the street from where it is, not far from Main Street in Parker. However, not a destination.
I will leave it at the altar, God. Leave it at the altar, God. Leave it at the altar, God. Oh.
All right, this week's Smarter Challenge. And for anyone who was looking forward to our original thoughts on revisiting 9/11, apologies, but we thought Noah brought this up and we thought it was much more appropriate in the sign of the times. And with current events to do a show about a major event in life, and there's been a lot of them, but this one in particular that we're revisiting is the murder and assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, so it's only been 6 days, right? So by the time you guys see this, there might be more information that's come out. There might be other things that have happened. But we wanted to give our discussion of our thoughts, things that we've seen, current conspiracy theories, maybe, and whatnot here about this particular major event in American politics, if you will, and it's kind of weird because some people say this is a political issue, some say it's a civil rights issue, and maybe it's a little. And I don't think either side is wrong who say that this was a civil rights assassination. I don't think it's wrong to say it was a political assassination, but maybe it's both, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from going too political. But I do think that there were motivations in both directions, absolutely. I know that I've seen things where it was mentioned that Charlie Kirk could be a future presidential candidate. And he said he didn't have interest, but I absolutely see the potential and how the left could and should, in a sense, be so threatened by someone who speaks his truth and does it without taking away from others, unless you consider taking away speaking one's own truth and somebody else not wanting to hear that. He never told someone else that they couldn't have their truth that I have ever seen, but he always said, "This is my truth."
Yeah, this is where I think if we were to approach the subject of, there's so many different ways to jump into this.
There are, and I think it's just for us to be honest with our viewers, this is a chance for us to speak about something publicly that is, I've cried countless times.
All right. Well, first off, I'll state this. I didn't always fully agree with everything that Charlie Kirk stated. A lot of things I did agree with, some things I didn't agree with, but I think that's part of being a human and part of free speech. I think there's no one else on earth that's exactly like you, so you're not always going to agree with everything that someone says, or you're never going to agree with something 100% what somebody does. But the few things that I did not agree with him on were minor and minute. And I would say that I was not an avid listener to him, but the areas of influence that I have, or that I listen to or read or watch, a lot of the people that I tune into, they also work with Charlie Kirk. So I saw some of his work here and there. Occasionally I would listen to his show, or I'd see some of his on campus type of works. But what really amazed me about Charlie Kirk is his impact and influence on many people, because after this happened, and I didn't realize this, for instance, I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody who's fairly close to me had mentioned she cried for on and off for 3 days because she did listen to him and she did agree with him on a lot more things than maybe I do, especially on the religious aspects of stuff. And it's amazing how much influence that he had on the youth. I know that there's some youth out there that I know of who've been impacted by Charlie Kirk, who've been, and how he's actually changed the way they thought or perceived the world. And I think it's great how he was never afraid to challenge an opposing thought and go on to the verbal battlefield of thought. And that's what free speech is all about, is let's let everyone have their opportunity to speak and debate, and that debate allowing us to battle on that floor, rather opposed to a physical battle, and debate thoughts and ideas and things of how things should be, or how we should move forward in life. And I just think it's great how much influence this person had, and he, I don't know, it's kind of weird, because like a person I listen to all the time, he reached out to them and said, hey, and he's like, I don't know, I think maybe in high school, he's like, I listened to you and I do this and stuff like that. And the person's like, hey, congratulations. That's great. That's great. You're doing these things. But then they ended up like later in life becoming like good friends and stuff. And you never know who you influence or what you influence or what will come from it. But I don't think anybody really knew the repercussions or knew the amount of influence this one man had and the ripple effect that he's had worldwide until now.
Absolutely. And before things get too emotional, which I'm sure at some point they might, they will. Going to sprinkle in just little facts, little interesting facts along the way. So first of all, Charles James Kirk was born October 14th, 1993. And he is definitely American right wing. Most people say, and I think this is fair to say, that he's a political activist. He's an author, and very importantly, he has been a media personality. He co-founded the conservative organization Turning Point USA, and I think that this is the most important piece really around. He did that in 2012. And he's done a lot with his life. Couple other little interesting facts. And it's funny to think about how that these might be part of what changed him and made him who he is. He was born and raised in Chicago. It was a hot flipping mess right now. Now
it was a hot flipping mess when he was growing up because that's where Obama was the senator and all that stuff.
Literally, my point of he saw something he didn't like, and he was one of the young, few and brave that decided he was going to stand up for his beliefs and take action. His father was an architect who helped build the Trump Tower. Or design it.
I did not know that part.
And I think that could be taken either way, but that is a big piece. And his mom was, in some ways, a trader of values, let's say, of stocks and bonds and other pieces. But so he has a background as an architect. It's pretty similar to an engineer. There's a lot that goes into, you can design something beautifully as an architect, but you got to figure out how to make it as an engineer. And then understanding money, stocks, bonds, values, and other pieces. So he's got his parents, especially growing up in Chicago, which is not taking anything away from people who love to live in Chicago, but it's not always been the easiest place for everyone to live in. Now, he was in the suburbs, not in the city. It's real. So,
but Chicago's actually a really corrupt city.
Oh, bingo.
Even going back to like Mayor Daley and stuff like that, or like they've been corrupt for many, many, many years.
Yeah. Again, like, what does he do? He gets the hell out of Chicago when he can. So I want to go back and like think about some of the things you said. And the first one is you never know who you influence. And I think that this is absolutely true. And I loved what you had put, and I'm going to butcher how it's phrased, in the beginning of the episode out about a message to fathers. And it is like, it's important for people, fathers in particular, to realize this. Remember, your sons are going to not so much follow your word as your example. And this is something that, as we talk about generations, and a generation I'm very proud of right now, Gen Z, as being part of Gen X, another generation I'm very proud of. But Gen Z, I am more proud of than mine own. And that is in the sense of, this is a generation that looked at all of the bullshit that millennials cry about and said, I want to find a better way. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And decided, okay, how do I find a better way? I want to educate myself. One way to educate yourself, because it's used and abused in many ways, but definitely used, social media. Two different sides of social media, the left and the right. What does the left go after? Left goes after, you can be a unicorn if you want to. What does the right go after? Family values. Strict, and I think this is where you and I don't agree with everything Charlie Kirk said, but we fucking absolutely believe, about my language, a strict moral code. And our moral code is not the same that his was. We are nowhere near the religious side of where he was. But the other pieces we 100% agree with. There is right, there is wrong, there are rules, and there are consequences. Winston in John Wick said that best, rules and consequences. And with this piece, it's very important to realize he has influenced Gen Z. This is the generation coming up, potentially the one that helped Trump win this second term. He has influenced them more than anyone because they were tired of the crap. And what I think he really was to me, this is where I will give him the most credit, to how, whether they both realize that I know one of them does or not, my kids have been impacted by Charlie Kirk and his statements, is he was an educator on future potential, success, and order. And I say order in multiple ways. An order that those should be achieved, a reason and righteous way to achieve those, but then also order in the sense of their order of right versus wrong. He believed in the rules and he followed them. And that is what I think is so interesting to me, is most of his haters were just the opposite. They didn't believe in rules and consequences.
So here's one thing I wanted to kind of point out here. And there's actually a really great video when he's in the UK talking to a professor. But in any case, he mentions that he never went to college. And yet, if you look at what his parents did, that very much takes, well, I don't say it does take necessarily a college education, but in today's society, so many people value if someone goes to a university or a college and gets that degree or gets a master's or whatever, and yet these educational systems are very much the same systems that have, if you will, possibly corrupted the youth and our society in general, with thinking that there's 50 some odd different genders or whatnot. And if I offend anybody, I apologize. Well, actually, I don't apologize. Like, there's really only two genders, maybe, in my opinion. But if you don't agree with me, it's okay to disagree with me. But there's no reason. Like, and this is what Charlie Kirk was really great at. Is he, as you stated, he let everyone speak their, like, what they believe was true, and he spoke his truth. But that is no reason to kill anyone for that, or as like a lot of these things, you hear nowadays, like unalive because of social media rules.
I think that's also important. That's the part I'm trying to stay. I know that's when I'm going to get super emotional, is the killing part, the murder part. But is the piece of respect. And respect is the core of anyone who has a good moral code. You have to respect things, different things. Some of them can be money. Some of them can be religion. I'm not going to try to push religion or money on anyone. You're going to need money not to be religious. But there are a lot of other things that can be focused, because if you don't have faith, you damn well better have money. But, we talked about, as we sprinkle more pieces on here, his Charlie Kirk himself considered his parents moderate Republicans, and his mother, after being a trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, subsequently became a mental health counselor. So now you look at like what, and this is why I really brought up that piece of, as a parent, your sons in particular are not going to follow your word. They're going to follow your example. His mom becoming a mental health counselor. Now he is here. And I don't think he wasn't trying to change people's minds, but I don't think he was, this is my only purpose in life. His purpose in life, I 100% believe, was to give counsel to the youth to try to create a better America and he included all of his personal beliefs in there, which is what a lot of people had problems with. This is where the left and the extreme left freaked out.
I think this is what he did, is he brought critical thought back to the youth.
100%. And
I mean, just look at just boil it down to the basics. If you really look at like what our education system has become, versus like when we went through the educational system, I felt like, and maybe our experience was less than maybe the generation before us, but I felt like we were forced to critically think about things. We were forced to figure things out on our own. And in a lot of cases, and you see this a lot of times in these Gen X videos, excuse me, talk about like how we were like the feral people or whatever, like being like how like we were just like left to our own accord.
We'll find a way. We get it done. Like still to this day.
Yeah. Right. And it's funny because I just saw like another video. This like where this lady went to go like for like, she's like 47 years old, went in for a checkup, and the lady's like, she said like her doctor's like, did you know you have like a earache in both ears? And she's like, yeah, it's a little bit sore, but I worked through it, whatever, right? And the doctor's like, no, you need to get these. We have to get these. Like, here's some antibiotics. You need to get this done. And then you got like a swelling here. Yeah, I know, but whatever. I just worked through it, right? We were taught like, you work through shit, like whatever, and you had to critically think about stuff. And then like the generation after us, I don't know what happened.
The two generations after us.
But I think when it like, but
there was a little Y in there.
Yeah. But what happened is like, I think Charlie Kirk, he brought that critical thought, that he brought those, he went to the colleges, he went to the high schools, and he challenged these young people to start thinking critically. He asked them questions in a way for them to start changing the way they perceive things. And he encouraged, and this is something also I saw recently too, but he encouraged people to seek God again, if you will. Yeah. And there's a study I think I talked to you about the other day that I saw, which talked about how the generation now, or Gen Z, the males are not out there having like frivolous sex. They have refused to have sex because a lot of them have started going back to church, and they are not just having free, as many of them is not having free sex. And this was I guess like it's a huge shift that hasn't been that way for a long time. It's
a huge shift there, not only there, but Gen Z is also looking for venues, experiences where alcohol is not pushed. So they would much rather go to an arcade that's for the youth intended versus an arcade where it's all about drinking. And that's the experience in general. Am I saying they probably won't have some drinks here and there? No, but from my understanding, well, not my understanding, from the studies and results shown from those studies, they are seeking a responsible, and this is what's crazy, they're seeking responsibility and a responsible livelihood.
And I think they're also the generation that wants to see the American dream come back.
Well, for sure, they didn't just, and this is not a total knock on the millennial generation, but it is absolutely to speak to it. They didn't just see a problem and complain about it. They are literally taking action. Okay, what does it mean to me? The first generation, how long? Total respect to this, by the way. That's like, hey, I don't need a 4-year education to be $200,000 in debt. In 4 years, I can be an electrician or a plumber. I can do my apprenticeship and come out of that making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to spend $200,000 a year.
Who might need a shout out for that too is Mike Rowe.
For sure.
He used to have that TV show, Dirty Jobs or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think that might have been out like when the Gen Zs were really young. And if parents were watching that when he was when he was doing that show, that could have also influenced him. But definitely Charlie Kirk influenced him.
Yeah, and what I'm going to already acknowledge and apologize for is I've been working my ass off to try to keep our shows short, and this one's not going to be that show. But to your point, yes, yes, dirty jobs, and I love that you brought that up for one reason, and it was because it was the millennial generation that was being looked at during their generation, and then they started to interview different generations in particular, and they then went to the sexes as well. And this is not a knock on the sexes, but it is absolutely a knock on different generations. And I'm going to leave you to guess which generations voted and said which things. Actually, I'm not going to. In interviewing different generations, what the hell? They looked at people who clean sewers making $100,000 a year to start. And they went to men and they went to women. They said, you got two options. You can go and become a student, and in 2 years you can be $200,000 in debt, and you can be making, if you're lucky, enough money to put food on your table. You're still going to need help paying the rent from your parents, or you can go become a sewer cleaner. And you can make $100,000 right off the bat, no college, no nothing, and you're free and clear. You're saving money. You can retire. Everything, life's good, but you're gonna be playing and shit all day. And
Gen X said sure. Millennials said fuck no.
Male Gen X was jumping in the clean up the shit. The female Gen X was a mixed bag. The millennial generation was a mixed bag on the male part. The female part in particular was like, fuck that. No. I'll be dead. My parents will take care of me. And I haven't seen any results on a similar survey for Gen Z, but I am guessing Gen Z is going to be much more like Gen X and probably beat our asses. Like at the end of the day, I have so much hope for Gen X, what they're going to do for America.
You mean Gen Z?
Or sorry, yeah, Gen Z. Gen Z and what Gen Z is going to do for America. I have so much hope. It makes me happy.
Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for that.
It wasn't just Charlie Kirk, but it was absolutely an influence by Charlie Kirk. Thank you, to your point, Charlie Kirk, for that. But again, what I would really want to emphasize with him, everyone looked at all of the things they didn't want to hear and thought it was hate. That's not hate.
It wasn't hate. All right, now let's get to the nitty gritty here.
All right.
The
left, let's go this way. The left, and even according to Forbes magazine, Kirk was known as
fascist.
Yes, he was known for his reputation of liberal college education, and he embraced pro-Trump conspiracy theories. He promoted the cultural maximum conspiracy theory and called university islands of totalitarianism. Totalitarianism. Yeah. In other words, dream worlds.
Well, totalitarianism is more like a fascist regime or a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Right?
Bullshit. Not right. No,
I'm just saying
a free country.
Not a free country. Not a free country. And really, totalitarianism is closer to like maybe monarchies. It's closer to communism. It's closer to socialism. But or straight up just dictator status. Whereas that's not what Charlie Kirk was pushing at all. However, they think the liberals, because of their brainwashing and because of the propaganda that was approved by Obama to allow the media to use propaganda on the American people or the American public, it pushed that narrative saying that conservatives were about dictatorship, were about totalitarianism, were about being fascists like Nazis, which all these things are totally incorrect. Because when you look at it, best example ever is that Charlie Kirk passes away. What did the conservatives do? They held vigils and prayer groups and stuff like that. You do not see them going out and rioting and destroying property, destroying businesses, stopping vehicles and highways. And Charlie Kirk was not a criminal. Look at the left. They The one black guy, I forget his name because Floyd. He was a repeat offender. He had fentanyl on him. He was arrested, and yet the left celebrated him. They rioted for months on end. They destroyed property. They destroyed businesses. They looted businesses. They killed people during these riots, and they stopped cars in the middle of the highway blocking innocent Americans trying to go to and from work to go home or go to work. There is nothing aligned here. You do not see the same hatred on the right as you do from the left.
Yeah.
The left has, if you do an honest, deep down, take yourself away from it, self-analysis or an analysis of it, and step away and look at both sides, you will see one side is violent, the other side is not.
Yeah. Unless
pushed to it.
I think you bring up a really good point. Post Kirk's assassination, the right wasn't going out destroying their own communities.
They're still not.
And still not. And there's no intention to do that. That's just stupid. Literally idiocracy to its best. And instead is showing respect for now. And this is where it gets scary later in our own show. Because the right hasn't become a far right. The left has been a far left for a while. And why did the politicians, the far left politicians, hate Kirk? Well, he spoke out to the false
I would say narratives.
Exactly what I'm going to say. I love that word. The false narratives about COVID-19. And they didn't like that. And now what we found out was not a conspiracy theory. The false narratives about COVID-19. And that's just one of the many examples of narratives that he wasn't spreading conspiracy theories. He was spreading his facts. And again, I'm not the religious one going to church every week. I will share that I 100% respect anyone who does. I think that for you to have a bond with your community that's so strong that you will show up every week is a beautiful thing. I'm a little jealous. So, they also they hated, you brought this up, that he spoke his version of George Floyd. And I think that's very important to consider, is that what he spoke against were all of the points that have now come out, not all of them, many of the points that have now come out as truths, and he was accused of spreading false conspiracy theories. Now,
I guess the real question too, I mean, I'm going to just toss this out there because like you said, this is a little bit longer than
I was trying not to, but I'm just giving us that grace for us to help heal because I've been hurt.
Now I've seen everything that from this was a lone shooter to it was a conspiracy of those who are in the trans Antifa type of group, who multiple people conspired to kill Kirk. And then I've seen, and this is coming from also from other pundits like Candace Owens and some other people who knew Kirk and that are also on the conservative side of social media having shows, saying that he had recently come out and spoken against Israel, and his main donors were Israel. He also denied going to Israel on the invitation from Netanyahu because he felt threatened by Israel that they would kill him. So who really did kill Charlie Kirk is still, I think, in flux and in question. I don't. Personally, for me, I'm just going to say just personally for me, just to could have a different thought. I honestly do not believe that the FBI is being 100% honest with us. Who shot Kirk? I think what they presented to us video-wise, a picture of the gun, and some other evidence that they've given to the public are actually a facade. I don't think that is 100% truth. I do believe that Israel is somewhat, and I'm not suicidal, and if this somehow gets to Israel or whatever, I apologize to you guys, but I honestly do believe Israel was involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk. But that's just me. I don't know what the truth is, but I do believe that that there is the part of the truth is out there. Maybe Israel helped fund some of these trans group, or maybe it was George Soros and his influence and money, because he's been involved in a lot of like anti-conservative and anti-American stuff, pushing far leftist organizations. So maybe it's George Soros. I have no idea. I just don't believe we're given the full truth by the FBI. I'm just going to leave it at that. You have any thoughts on this? Or
Like, the one thing I will say is, you already spoke to the difference, and like, I would love to say this is like, hey, this is just a theory. There's a difference between the left and the right. Whereas when the left is offended, they do X, and the right is offended, they do Y. But we have literally now seen it again, where with Floyd, people were destroying their own communities. And with Kirk, people are going to vigils and responding in a very different way. One that does not take away from their community. In the sense of, I'm not destroying a business, I'm not breaking windows, I'm not going to here in Denver, I remember that they were all worried about, after Floyd, that they were going to have protesters breaking into government buildings and all these other things. This is the government that fooled you into doing the shit. Here we are, and on the right is saying, nah, man, it's not okay. This is not okay. This is not okay. But I am not going to hurt my neighbor. I'm not going to hurt my fellow business, my local business, because I'm pissed off and brainwashed. And I think that there is some goddamn brainwashing going on. I'm trying to say
there has
positive.
to be. There really does.
Like, why would you do that? All the Floyd people, like, that looted, and oh my God, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you be respectful? And you know why? Is because they were all taught, and here's where the narrative is changing. They were all taught that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Guess what? All the people who
maybe they need to go with the Japanese.
Dude, I'm just going to say, like, this is one perspective. All the people who were going on social media and demanding rights for social media, and squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we're like, oh, this is terrible. And they basically put the right into a position where we're like, this isn't the time or place to speak about this. Like, it's not appropriate to talk about your crazy sex life on social media and put it out there and have society not gauge you. But they were given, that's just one example, by the way, given the freedom to speak that way. Another one would be, and this is where it starts to get more tricky, to celebrate a human being's assassination on social media for an individual, a thing, and this is where I'm going to break it down, for a thing to celebrate a human being's assassination on social media is not human. It is not humane. It is not human. It is not okay. It is not acceptable by any side besides a side that does not respect life. Now, if you don't respect life, Why the fuck were you burning down buildings? Because George Floyd was killed. Oh my God. And then that's the assumption, right? He was killed. Big difference between being shot, theoretically, right? From 200 yards away by a coward. This is what we're being fed by the FBI, truth. Big difference between being shot by a coward 200 yards away, 2 football fields away, basically, and someone who is trying to protect a community and you die. Always tragic. I've never celebrated.
It's not even the cop's fault. He died because he was like,
I'm not like, dude, it doesn't matter why he died. I never celebrated his death.
I didn't celebrate his death.
I know. But that's my point. That's the difference. What the right does is celebrate life. What the left does is, I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, I don't know if there's an easy way to put it, but we're going to stick with the right, which is, man, this man was just assassinated. He was just murdered. And again, what did they do? They are respecting his life. And I do think, even if you look out there, man, go to social media, you are creating a far right. And I don't want that. I don't want a far right. That's civil war.
Here's what's happened is that there's something that's called it's like a military or political term, but it's like a vacuum of power.
Yeah.
Right. So when you when you go in and you destroy, or you go to war and you destroy a certain power or a certain government that's been in power, it creates a vacuum, and because of this, that vacuum has to be filled. What happened here is you probably took one of the best and most moderate conservatives out there, or voices for conservative America, which was willing to engage the left, willing to talk to them, willing to debate them in the battlefield of words. Now, all of a sudden, this person or multiple people, whoever it was that killed Charlie Kirk, created a vacuum of power. Now all these people who looked up to Charlie Kirk, who all were influenced by Charlie Kirk, now they are going to go seek out another voice.
Not just another voice, they're going to become voices.
Some of them will become voices. Some of them they're going to seek out other voices and other, if you will, mentors. Some of those will be like maybe somebody like Candace Owens, or some of it might be like Alex Jones. Some of it might be like JD Vance or whoever. But they are going to go seek out other voices or other mentors. And now the one person who was probably the best insulator, if you will, between America going far right or further right has been destroyed.
No, like I 100% agree. The left doesn't understand. There's those people who celebrate it. He was actually protecting them at this stage. He was actually the one, believe it or not, he's the one who was protecting the left by saying, hey, man, you still have a voice, because if shit gets real, you are going to lose your voice.
And that's what he was saying. Like, as long as there's a debate, as long as there's a voice, we can avoid violence. But once people stop talking, violence is going to occur.
Yeah.
So you continue. Like, sorry.
I just 100% agree. I don't think the left realizes, any of those people that celebrated his death understand he actually was protecting your rights. Social media being a prime example. He did not cause any harm until he was assassinated. And then you have a lot of people from the left on the air getting fired on their social media, crying about how is this okay? How was it not okay?
They're the ones who created that environment.
That's what I mean. They created the platform that is now being used to hold them accountable. It's not being used against them. It's being used to hold them accountable.
Here's the thing, is because like what they did is they persecuted conservatives for so long about like talking about COVID-19, talking about the election being stolen, talking about whatever. Like they got like conservatives fired from their jobs, and now conservatives have flipped the table.
We didn't flip the table. We're just using their tool against them, and that's what they don't realize.
That's what I'm talking about, flipping the table. Like we turn it against them.
I am just emphasizing some fool creates a platform playing checkers. People who play chess are going to win the goddamn game. Chess, not checkers. And the left really like to play checkers, man. They really like to play checkers.
For the longest time, conservatives weren't playing at all.
I don't know if that's the case. And it brings up another thing. Like the conservatives were absolutely being held quiet. And I think Obama fooled even me. I'll admit, and I hate this now.
I hated that guy from day one.
I actually fucking voted for him for his first term when
he was talking.
Yes, when he was talking about we're going to go nuclear. I'm going to build more nuclear power plants. I will never forget all of the things he said he was going to do. And within 2 years, I realized I was lied to. I have been cheated from my tax dollars that he promised were going to go to certain purposes, and he has done everything, and I really do believe this, in opposition of what I voted for from what I heard.
He's the one who's created all this fucking shit.
He's the one who ultimately turned me into the Republican that I am. I was always Republican, but not... I was like, there's left and there's right. There's this line, right? I always stayed on the right side.
You're right of center.
Dude, I've gone pretty fucking far with all the bullshit.
No, but when you say you vote for Obama, you're right of center.
Oh yeah, I didn't believe in the Democratic daydream, but I was like, if this guy's going to do half of what he said, and I do mean this, if Obama had done half of what he said,
I was calling up like my representative. I was trying to get other people. Like I was like totally against Obama. But anyways, regardless. But
nuclear power plants shut down, not opened when he was in office. Had he opened them, America would actually be in so much of a better place financially, economically, from a energy source point only. His misconceptions have hurt this country.
He was never about that.
Yeah, but I saw him and I had hope. Dude, he was such a good actor.
He was a great. He could. What is it? Orator? Is that what they call it? A person who's really great at speaking. It's like a orator or something. I guess I probably butchered the word, but whatever.
So was Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan, I actually do think until his assassination attempt was doing all of the right things. I am sad that his assassination attempt broke him, and that's how I kind of feel. And I don't blame the fool.
Well, I don't blame you.
Dude, I don't want to die. I don't want to be killed.
All right. Before we go, absolutely way too long and turn this into another JFK episode.
No, we're not doing that.
Any last words?
Yes, 2. And man, I may have made it. I haven't made a day since his assassination where I haven't cried so much, and I might actually make it. Here's where we will find out if I can. And I think we've kept this positive enough, trying to be, as I think Charlie Kirk would appreciate. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was not to attack. My goal was never to attack. Charlie Kirk was never attacking. He was spreading his truth. And I think that we have done a really fucking good job. Sorry, my language. He would not appreciate that, or the Scotch, but as a non-drinker, he also understood. I have 2 last things I want to say. How do I feel? I'm a parent. It's very interesting how most millennials cannot relate. Lots of Gen X, lots of Gen Z. Gen Z's waiting, whatever it may be. As a parent, I have not been I have been far from a perfect parent, but I've always tried to lead by example and do good things. And I remember watching with my son when he was barely walking, the original Iron Man movie. And I've always loved that movie, mostly because he enjoyed it. It was probably too violent for him as a wee bit, few year old. But it was this great movie where the good guys win. The good guys meaning we protect freedom, we protect freedom of speech, we protect our amendment rights. Right after our freedom of speech, that's right, the tools we need to protect our freedom of speech. And years later, with my children, watching Avengers Endgame, I have always admired Tony Stark's dedication to Earth and all of those same qualities: freedom of speech, protecting our Second Amendment rights, doing the things that are right. And I don't know that everyone saw it the same way. But when Tony Stark didn't just give the American government his technology, he was literally protecting his Second Amendment right. Still protecting freedom of speech, still doing all these things. But what I loved about that movie, and also hated, as Tony Stark gave his life to save Earth and the universe, was that I believe, and have always felt, and would only hope, given the same chance, I would do the same. You have gods like Thor and monsters, and I don't mean that in a negative way, like Hulk, that could not defeat Thanos, but one human did. Why? Critical thinking. He was always playing chess, not checkers. That's what I think about Charlie Kirk. And I don't know if the world wants to, or that his wife wants to, or that anyone wants to. Consider that his goal was the same. But I think it was. I think he was trying to save America. And I respect that. And my other comment is why this hurts so bad. As a father, even shitty fathers, I imagine, I don't think I fall into that category. I actually think I fall in another category, but I always wanted to protect my kids. That doesn't mean giving them the world. That doesn't mean giving them all the money they want. That does mean teaching them, educating them, making them fight for a finish so that I prepare them for an end game. And when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, seeing the impact made me feel like I don't know how to keep my kids safe anymore. And I think that's where the right is standing, is we're not trying to hurt thy neighbor, but we are seriously considering how do we protect our kin. And that's where I will leave. To my babies, I love you. Sorry if you feel unsafe. I never wanted that for you, and I will always do what I can to protect you.
Well, there's nothing more that I could really add more than that from Jesse. I think the last time America might have been in this position would have been in like the 60s, where there's a lot of uncertainty about where our country was going, what we were doing, who our leaders would be. I think that's when the last major assassination was in, I believe, 1968. Hopefully, God willing, he will bless our country, bless us, and we will continue to be a prosperous nation, and we will be able to get ourselves through this dark time. If you made this far and you want to share with us how you feel about what happened to Charlie Kirk, we would love to hear your thoughts or your feelings. We will be more than happy to respond to you. This has been a very touching moment within the American history, I guess, if you will. And we all need to heal from this and move forward, and hopefully in a very positive manner that will bring much prosperity back to our nation in a good way. So thank you very much to those of you who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you to all of you who listen to us on the many different podcast platforms. We'd love to hear your thoughts once again, whether it be about what happened to Charlie Kirk or your feelings about where we're heading in America. We would love to hear your thoughts if you've tried the Ode to Embers from GlenDronach. And I'm going to pass it over to Jesse to, one, tell us what our next week's Smart Challenge is, because I still don't know what it is, and two, to close us out all together.
All right. Well, number one, I'm going to keep it really simple, and I need a positive moment to simplify next week's Smarter Challenge. It is going to be a movie review of Talladega Nights, and I think that's because it's an appropriate movie to rebound from such a serious topic. And man, I will. My heart is hurt. My heart is hurt for anyone who found that this assassination was okay, let alone celebrated it. That hurts. Life is precious. Oh my God, the people who celebrate this is not okay. And I'm trying to get over that myself, is what happened to humanity. And when my kids' hearts hurt, it kills me. And I try to remember life is great. And I do appreciate every morning I wake up. And I try to make the most of every day. And I'll say it again. Some of the most influential and inspiring people to me, my father and my son. I am not the religious one. My son doesn't miss a Sunday at church. My father doesn't miss a night praying. These individuals...
Slacker.
Right, I know I am a fucking slacker.
I'm messing with you, sorry.
But I think where I fall in...
I don't do those things either, so...
I've always had faith. And I think that's...
Me too.
That's God's gift to me. And I think why I have faith is because I have a code.
I was just trying to lighten up the mood. Sorry.
I know you are. I have a code and I live by it. And I love to think, particularly by how much my father has inspired me and how much my son inspires me, that means I fucking did my part. I don't know that I did. But Dad, thank you. Son, I try not to mention your name on the podcast. I don't know that you would mind, but son, could not be more proud. Life is great, and I want everyone to take a moment. I don't care. If you've watched this far, you clearly can't be a Charlie Kirk hater. Take a moment, any moment you can give. Give a moment of silence or a prayer or a thought to, here's what hurts, Charlie Kirk's wife, children, and family, because it goes both ways. It's not just a wife and child he left behind. He's got parents and others. Please just give a moment of consideration, because that's fucked up. It hurts. Do drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. And until next week, we're going to try to find...
Wait, before you do the next week thing, that was a very great call out. We didn't talk about it until you just mentioned it. I didn't mention it. But we do need to put a prayer or thought there for his family that he left behind, because he did leave a wife and 2 beautiful young children behind.
Dude, that's so fucked up.
And it wasn't by his choice. So, however, here's the thing. When God graduates you to the next level, he graduates you to the next level. Doesn't matter how it is, but he served his purpose, and he actually, in serving his purpose, he gave us a greater purpose. So,
doesn't make it okay, but life is great. Charlie Kirk's life, by the way, no matter it doesn't matter what side you're on. Look at what he achieved in 31 years. His life was great. Do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly. And until next week, when we take a much lighter and less somber mood.
Scotchman! Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.